All right, living learning community. This is one of my favorite things that universities offer because living learning communities are really cool for you to be able to get to know other people with the same interest or identity or major as you. So, a living learning community, and it might be called something different, but usually it's called an LLC, living learning community. It can be based off of majors. So, if you're an electrical engineering major, they might have a floor in a dorm just for you. And your resident assistant, your RA who runs the floor, will also be in that particular major. And they might organize cool events where professors come, or they might have study groups already integrated in your community. And everyone on your floor, is going to have very similar classroom experiences as you. Then there could be interest groups, like if you love rugby or if you love community service. And your resident assistant will plan out different activities for you throughout the year so that way y'all can connect. A lot of times, living learning communities are for first year students, but sometimes you'll find them for upperclassmen. And I actually had one, and it was based off of identity. So I had a living learning community for first generation college students. Probably not surprised, right? Because it's who I was and what I needed. And so we did things like financial literacy. I had first generation professors come and talk to the students. We did family dinners. Like it was just a really cool family, right? That we had and that we cultivated. And I had a faculty member who was also supporting the group who really was there to just answer questions. Okay, how do I, combat this problem in a course? These professors are the ones that make courses. And so they were able to ask directly. And so we were kind of like the professor that I worked with, myself, and then the resident assistant, the RA. We were kind of like their big brother, big sisters in their first year. And it really, really was awesome to just, for them to have a family to come home to in this new experience. And we all had done that new experience at one point in our lives. And so it was just really beautiful. So I am a huge fan of living learning communities. You can probably choose to request one once you do your housing, but you can also just live in a regular floor as well, where it's pretty mixed, and then make friends on those floors and kind of go to their events too. So no worries there. Again, I'm just teaching you some of the options that will be out there in case you hear it like in a speech or in an open house and you're like, what is that? I got you. Honors college. So honors colleges, usually you can apply while you're for the honors college while you're doing your first application, or sometimes they let you apply during your first year in college. And so the honors college usually separates you from other kind of students. You have a distinguished diploma. And a lot of times it comes with a scholarship or some sort of benefit. And usually you'll have a thesis that you'll write before you graduate. And any major can be in the honors college. And what they'll normally do is they'll have courses specific for honor students. So there'll be courses that are pretty general, and they'll usually have like an honors college, specialization. And so you might do a little bit more writing, a little bit more reading, but on your diploma, it will say that you have graduated with a distinguished diploma from the honors college. And so if that's something that you're interested in and you really want to kind of stretch yourself, maybe you want to go into graduate work and you want to start this research process now, totally something that you should look into. Study abroad. All right. If you don't know, I love to travel. I have been to over 60 countries, and my first country that I went to was when I was in undergrad, and I went to Cape Town, South Africa, and did a lot of stuff at the University of Cape Town and University of Western Cape, and it was honestly one of the best experiences of my life, and clearly I haven't stopped traveling. On top of that, I currently work for a high school that travels the globe, and so because of that, I love when students get to travel. I've taken students abroad even before I worked at this high school. So I've taken students to Spain. I've taken students to London, to Paris. I've taken students to Trinidad. So studying abroad is literally the one thing that I hope you all take part in. So there's some differences, and you can talk to your school. Some majors are easier to study abroad than others, but a lot of schools now are making cohort study abroad programs. So if you are a a major like biology, they're going to have a biology major group that goes to Milan the fall of your sophomore year, and you can join that trip. Some majors with a little bit more flexibility, you might be able to go anytime. And I really hope that this is on your list. But obviously, you can have your own list and your own dream. Maybe you've already traveled and you're like, "That I'm good. It's really not for me." But study abroad, look it up. You usually will take classes. Those classes will work towards your graduation. So you're not just studying abroad and you're not pausing school. A lot of times you'll coordinate with the study abroad office and you'll find a program somewhere that meets some of your graduation requirements. And sometimes you just study a language. Sometimes you might study courses in your major. Sometimes you're doing like cultural exploration. Sometimes you're taking classes with professors because, like I said, some universities have decided to make a cohort program. And so a cohort is just a group that goes together. And so if a cohort program might have biology students with biology professors and you're just living in another country, they rent out space, lab space, and you take classes with your actual professors. So you get to really build relationships with professors and students just outside of your campus. Now, I know that there's this huge myth that people say, well, I don't want to leave campus. I don't want to miss out on all the fun that's there because then when I come back, it'll be awkward. That is usually the number one thing that I hear for students or from students in college. The number one thing I hear from students who graduated college is, I regret not going abroad. Literally, I have always, always, always heard that in that way. So don't worry about FOMO. Don't worry about if like your friends don't want to be your friends again. Honestly, if they don't want to be your friends because you decided to expand who you are and do something that you actually wanted to do, they probably weren't your friends, right? They probably just weren't. And you know what? Though that's okay too, because life and growth is about just seeing and learning and witnessing and figuring out, okay, I thought this was solid. I thought we had a really good friendship. And because I left for a term, I'm no longer in the group. Might not be the people and the energy that you want around anyway. So if you can, try to study abroad, or if you want, go abroad. The Career Center. Love the Career Center. The Career Center usually will do different things like career fairs. And I always recommend students to start going to career fairs freshman year. Just kind of see what it's like, see how people are dressed, kind of overhear different conversations, because sometimes just by seeing it and hearing it takes away the fear because you're like, oh, okay, cool. When it's my time, I know what to do. A lot of times at these career fairs, they don't just have jobs for students who are graduating. A lot of times they'll have representatives for internships. And the Career Center will help you get ready for these things. So they'll do like networking events, job search support, resume help, cover letter help, interview prep. All of those things are there for you at the Career Center on your campus. So look it up, see what they offer, especially, again, my first generation college students or students who are doing something completely different than what their parents do. I mean, you're like, I don't know how to break into the field. Just see what the Career Center offers because they're going to be a huge resource for you on campus. And let me tell you guys something as well. Let me tell you this. All of these services a lot of times are free, right? But they're not really free. You actually paid for it with your tuition and fees. And so if you don't use it, it's almost like paying, those people that pay for the gym but never go. That's going to be you, right? So do anything that's free on campus. If they say they got a bus trip going to the nearest city to go see a Broadway show, I'm not saying you got to do all of them, but do everything that you would want to do, because when you graduate and those things that are quote unquote free are out of your paycheck, you might say, dang, I should have done a little bit more of this when I was in college, and because it was free, and I could see if I actually like it. Now I got to spend my personal money in the here and now, not just money that I, was rolled into tuition. And so again, I encourage you all to, even if you have a job lined up with like a family or, you've networked already, just go to these different things because they can help you prepare for life after that next step that you already have lined up.